hour, hour and a half for Sequoia County and LaFleur County, another 2 hours for Crawford County, Sebastian County, and Scott County. But once you get farther east for Johnson and Franklin and Logan counties, we probably have another 2.5, maybe even up to 3 hours of some of this scattered snow. This is a wide view again across 5 country. You see the back edge moving eastbound at a pretty decent clip. This is just a loop over the past hour, so it's moving about 30 miles per hour or so, pushing off towards the east. All right, so right now we are not only on the television on Channel 5 right now, but we're also on our live stream with all our apps, 5+, and then also some social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook. Thanks for joining us. We want to give you an update on what's going on, how much snowfall we've picked up, and then how much more snowfall could we get? And we're also going to take a closer look at some of those roads. So I'm going to back up things here just for a moment. This is a live look outside. Once again, this travel spot and kind of a hot spot, or a cold spot, you could call it, on I-49 there at exit 45 with Winslow. So you've had some vehicles that have been pulled off the interstate for a second. You still get this truck that's been sitting here for a while, and it looks like we've had some other vehicles stuck there on the side, but some emergency crews have responded. The problem is when traffic goes really slow like this gives the snow a chance to lay down a layer a little bit more. You're going to see in other spots that we take you to across 5 country where there's a lane open right now. And you can, so let's go ahead and show you what it looks like outside in Fort Smith. This is looking down Garrison Avenue. So right now, as you are coming there from the bridge, folks, it's a little bit more open when you're headed towards the bridge. When you're from the bridge going back to downtown, looks like it's a little bit more snow covered. But of course, you got all that pavement there on Garrison, but you only got one lane that's fairly open on each side. And open is kind of a loose term because you can get some tire track there downtown Fort Smith, but all the other lanes are completely snow covered. It gets tricky when you have to make those turns. This is what it looks like outside again over I-49 and Highway exit 45. But this is the interstate, and it's looking like this, and still a lot of snow falling in Fort Smith. I'm going to take you to a wide view of the radar. We've got decent snow still sitting the northern half of Arkansas. This whole thing is moving east and a little bit southeast. We're going to fill in the radar south of Little Rock here soon, but this is a wide swath. Every single county other than Benton County is in a winter storm warning right now, and of course the governor has issued that state of emergency. We've got National Guard crews out there right now trying to help folks out with some of these snowstorms that are coming right through some of these counties. You're watching individual bands that get a little bit heavier. We've got one solid band, but in the middle and in the midst of them, we've got some heavier bursts of snow. Right now, the heaviest bursts are in the mountains and in the river valley. Northwest Arkansas, we're starting to get a little bit of a lighter snow, and it's starting to taper off there in eastern Oklahoma. I've got my team with here, meteorologist Stephen Elmore. Stephen, if you could mess with some of those cameras, maybe if you could switch one or two, feel free. But this is live look outside in Fayetteville. You can see the square there. Not really an open lane as you're trying to go around the old post office in downtown. You see those flakes flying around. These are some decent, they're called plates. They're about small to medium size, but the thing is there's so many out there that they can accumulate pretty quickly. These are not as big of the snowflakes that we saw over about a week and a half ago. But this is live look outside in Fayetteville. This is coming from the Chamber of Commerce camera. You can see some of the tire tracks there right next to that tree, but otherwise it's very slick. This is where you get into problem spots where you're trying to make a turn or you try to come to a stop. A lot of times on the interstate or on certain roads, if there's an open lane and you're just going straight, you're okay. It's those turns and braking, you hit a stoplight, you hit a stop sign, that's when it gets a little bit tricky. So make sure you just give yourself and your tires enough time to make a stop. But right now in Fayetteville, we have about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Everyone's got something different. And if you look at the snow, it's not going straight down. It is really coming in from the side because of this blowing snow. And each snowflake is so light and dusty that the wind really carries it. In fact, you're looking back towards Dixon Street, and it's even hard to make out Dixon right now because of the low visibilities and all the snowflakes that are out there. The snowflakes aren't as big, but there's a lot more of them out there. So that's why the snow is quickly accumulating. It's also so cold that it doesn't take very much in order for the snow to stick. Every snowflake is sticking, and it's probably going to stick for the next 3 days. So generally, what can you expect for the rest of the day? We've got this big batch over us. This is the main batch for us. Soon we'll start to wrap things up. To be honest, this thing is wrapping up a little bit faster than we originally thought. Here by about dinner time, most of us will probably have a few flurries, but it's not going to be nearly as heavy as it has been the past hour. And so this will all press eastbound. We've been seeing those snow bands increase there in eastern Arkansas. Southern Arkansas, we're still trying to get things going. We've got a wintry mix at times that could cut into some snowfall totals, but this has just been pure snow for us. This is a closer look. Northwest Arkansas, we've got a couple lighter bands trying to push into Benton County. Still fairly heavy, though, in the southwest corner of Siloam Springs. I think we've got another camera we want to show you guys. This is a live look there at Central Avenue. So this is heading north and west on I-49. You're on the north side of Bentonville. This is where you get off and try to head towards the square. But here's the thing. If you're just going on I-49 towards Missouri, you're probably mostly okay if you can stay in that lane. But look at that guy. He's making that right-hand turn, coming in. It's still pretty slick, so he had to take that pretty slow, making those turns. The snow, though, is not very slushy. It's a very dry, wispy type of snow. If you've taken your car and you're on vacation, or you've taken a rental car and you're driving on a road next to a beach and you get some of that sand that's on the road sometimes, and it can kind of make it slick, that's what it feels like as you're driving outside. A very dusty, sandy snow. It kind of stings as you walk outside, not just from the cold, but from these smaller snowflakes that continue to hit us. But if you just stay in that one lane, you're mostly okay. But once again, there's 3 lanes here. You can only see the one on both sides of the interstate. And watching some of these plows, they've been just making sure that one lane is open. So if you can stay on that one lane, you're good. Here's a closer look at some more counties. Northwest Arkansas, Benton County, we've got about another hour to go, another hour and a half in Washington. We're going to do a quick tour every county, and then we're going to go ahead and have more live reports there on our live stream. We'll come off of Channel 5. We'll have more updates throughout the day. And, of course, our newscast at 5:30 to give you an update on what's happened and where we go from here. Washington County, another hour, hour and a half. Another about hour and a half. Madison, another hour and a half in Carroll County. In the River Valley, Sequoia and LaFleur, probably about another hour, hour and 15. If you live in Crawford, Sebastian, Scott County, another hour and a half to hour 45. And we're at the 2-hour mark still for Johnson County, Logan County, and Franklin County. Good bursts of snow, but it's not a slushy snow. Very dry and gusty snow that's out there, and it's causing some problems on the interstates. This is just a live look outside. We've been switching some cameras, so ignore this here for a second. This is a live look outside in Bentonville. This is from our Jack Links camera, and you can see trying to get 2 lanes there open just south of the Walmart home office. And this is a live look outside. Do you know, is this the Johnson camera, actually? I believe it is. It's already snow covered there, and you're getting some of the steam. Oh, no, this is Mercy. This is Mercy. All right. All right, it's hard to tell because for a second you couldn't even see anything. This is Fort Smith. This is Mercy. You've got some of the exhaust coming from the top of the building next to the camera, so it's hard to see. But you've got there's not really much of a lane open on either sides of Rogers Avenue there in Fort Smith next to the Mercy's Hospital, but folks just going slowly. So make sure if you have to head out, just take it easy, take your time, give yourself extra stopping distance because things are slick. Even the interstates are slick. You got 1 lane open on both sides on I-49 as you're passing Sunset. So here in a little bit, we'll have more updates on the snow, where it's going, and how the evening is going to shape up. So we're going to wrap things up on Channel 5. Stick with us. We're going to stay on digital. Make sure you keep it here, keep it local. As always, we'll keep you advised. All right, are we back on digital? All right, all right. Thank you guys. Sorry about that transition. Takes us a second to do the quick switch there, but we are now still live on our digital platforms. Want to let you know how much snow we've got still coming. So generally, to wrap things, to kind of put everything a bow on it, we've picked up about an inch, inch and a half to 2 inches across much of 5 country. But there could still be another additional inch as this final wave comes through. This one's pretty heavy. You can see some of these darker blues and purples with the final edge of the band of snow. We've already started to clear out in Tulsa. So this is more the consistent snow. On the backside, there could still be some flurries, but probably not picking too much more up in accumulation from those flurries, other than just reminding you it's snowy and it's cold outside. But this is the accumulating snow, and we've got at least another hour to go, especially if you live closer to the state line with Oklahoma of this snow. And then we still have another couple hours in the River Valley east of Fort Smith and in parts of northwest Arkansas, especially east of I-49 and east of US 71. So that would include Beaver Lake. It would include the Huntsville area, Hinesville, Eureka Springs, Berryville, south towards White Rock Mountain and Cedar Dam and Natural Dam. We've got still decent snow coming in. Artist Point, another inch could be possible. In the River Valley for Johnson County, Logan County, and Franklin County, maybe additional inch for us. In Fort Smith, Van Buren, Poto, and Sallisaw, we could get another quarter to half inch. We have a little bit less time to go just because that back edge is moving about 30 miles per hour, 30 to 40 miles per hour from the west to the east. So over time, we will start to clear that out as well. This is a live look outside in Springdale. This is from our Holiday Inn cam. You're looking at traffic. It gets real slick as you're trying to make a stop or make a turn onto some of these roads. So folks are going really slow close to these stoplights and stop signs. If you can just keep in that one lane, you're mostly good. But look at all that snow spray on the backside from some of these vehicles. It's just so dusty out there. It's as if you went into your grandma's attic and just, and you just get this dust. That's what the snow is like. It's more of a crystallized snow out there. We're getting more thin plates. This is a live look outside at the I-49 US 71 interchange there in Bella Vista. You have about one lane open on each side, especially when you're going back off towards the north. Folks coming southbound, they're coming in from Missouri, headed into northwest Arkansas. It looks like it's a little bit more snow covered there. But once again, it's making that transition between lanes that you got to be careful. And you're seeing, even from this angle, you can still see a lot of that snow spray there on the backside of their vehicles. So let's talk about how much snow we picked up and how much more we've got to go. So we've had winter storm warnings in effect for all of 5 country except Benton County. Reason why, if I'm going to go ahead and show you some of these maps, let's go back to, I'm going to go back to a wide view really quick. This kind of sets the story. So this is the radar over all of Arkansas. We've got heavy snow from I-40 north and even south of I-40 to the Ouachitas. But once you get south of, let's say, Bryant, there's not as much going on right now. We have some scattered snow showers. Some of these bursts, though, are pretty heavy. But the reason why Benton County was the only county in Arkansas not getting a winter storm warning is because of, look at this dry air, and you can see the back edge of the snow. So we've got this back edge that kind of slants and then drops south. So with this dry air coming in, Benton County is probably going to be our first county to stop getting the snow. However, kind of picked up a little bit more snow. We've already picked up about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. But to get that winter storm warning, usually the National Weather Service is looking more towards 3 or 4 inches. So we'll kind of see how all the snowfall reports go. But Benton County is our first one to dry out. And so that's the one county National Weather Service decided to hold. They actually didn't have an alert for Benton County other than a winter storm watch. For about 12 hours longer than all counties. They kind of left Benton County and a couple eastern Oklahoma counties just on pause. They put everything to the east, winter storm warnings, everything to the west, winter weather advisories. And in the middle, they were trying to figure out where they wanted to. And when I say they, the National Weather Service, were wanting to make that distinction, either make that gap all winter weather advisories, which is a lower alert, or a winter storm warning, which is a higher alert. They ended up going with the lower alert, winter weather advisory. But anything you have still sticks. It still means travel is treacherous. Basically, a winter weather advisory says travel is going to be tough. And travel is tough in Benton County. It probably gets even tougher, though, once you head into the River Valley and in the mountains. It gets even thicker. So we'll be watching that for a while. Some of the heavier snow has fallen around Fort Smith to Clarksville. And so that's where the winter storm warnings have stood. But there's been a lot of questions about why was one county? So 98, I believe, when we were doing some of the math on area-wise of our counties, Benton County accounts for 4% of the whole state land-wise. So why was 98.6% of the state under winter storm warning and not Benton County? This is the reason why. Dry air coming in from both the west and the north. So it looks like we're going to cut Benton County off first, but we still gotten some decent snow. So whether or not what kind of warning or advisory you're in doesn't really matter because we've got some decent snow over us and it continues to press eastbound. We've only got another hour and a half to 2 hours across 5 country before most of this wraps up. There could still be some scattered light flurries here for overnight, and we'll also talk a little bit more in just a moment about what tomorrow could possibly bring. This is the 612 interchange there in southern Benton County, northern Washington County. This is that new interchange that eventually may head towards the airport. I-49 is there, the one at the bottom, and then you got the overpasses on top that help you either get onto 612 or get off 612, depending on what direction you're going. But I-49 there at the bottom, still just about one lane open on each side. Sometimes, especially in Benton County, where things have been just a touch lighter, granted, winter weather advisory, sometimes you have two lanes open. That may also be how different plows and things, depending on what timing you are hitting, what interstate, at what time in what county. But at times in Benton County, there have been about 1.5 lanes open. So one lane is fairly open other than dusty snow that you can stay on. And then sometimes the inside lane or the outside lane is kind of clear. And then the other one's just no. It hasn't even been touched. Folks, I haven't even tried. So this is a live look outside, Highway 612. But this is still the radar. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick zoom in, and then I'm going to show you futurecasts on a couple things that we can expect here over the next couple of hours. Still heavy snow in the River Valley. It looks like that little pocket of a little break has pushing right over to the south side of Fort Smith. So Fort Smith, we're actually getting maybe a quick downtrend in the snow. It's only going to last 5 to 10 minutes. It's right over the south side of Fort Smith, there in Spiro and Pecola, headed east towards 0 Street, Townsend Avenue, there on the southeast side of Fort Smith, spreading into the airport. Downtown is about here, still decent snow for us. And you get even farther north into Fort Smith, nothing's really going to change. There on the south side of Fort Smith, headed towards that main entrance of Fort Chaffee, you get a quick break, but then it picks right back up. This is a pretty good band coming in from the Kerr Reservoir right there along Sequoia County and LaFleur County with the Arkansas River. So as soon as you get that break, another burst of snow comes in. Pretty decent burst of snow right over Blue Mountain, headed over Mount Magazine. Good snowfall for us. Good snowfall there in Barling and Lavaca, some decent snow headed eastbound in Charleston. Mulberry, Ozark, we're getting some decent snow. Once you get higher into the terrain, pretty heavy at times, especially this little band that's kind of getting darker right there towards Natural Dam and Cedarville and Uniontown, Clarksville. We're steady, and we're steady in Waldron. We're pretty steady in Poto. That little break was more north of us, just north of the power plant there in Shady Point. But Kavanaugh Hill, we're still continuing to get that snow. Decently heavy south towards Tallahena, south of Big Cedar and Heavener as well, on all going over the terrain. The terrain could even be picking up a little bit more there towards your Sugarloaf. You got Poto Mountain, you've got Kavanaugh, you got Blue Mountain, you've got Mount Magazine, and of course the Boston Mountains maybe picking up a little bit more, just because earlier the thing was the clouds came in and we had some spotty flurries for the first hour, but they were a little bit heavier in the mountains just because the mountains are closer to those clouds. Some of those snowflakes were, they're called sublimating off the air, so you weren't always reaching the ground. This is a live look on some of the bridges there on I-49. This is just south of Chester, and you're looking at Interstate I-49, and right now there's honestly not much of a lane open, and this is what's happening in the mountains. Once you get out of the mountains, usually you can try to at least get somewhat of an open lane, and there's kind of some openness there on the outside lane, especially the folks headed towards your screen right now, I believe headed southbound. If you can get at least some tires into that track, looks like someone's trying to pass there. It just gets tricky if you're trying to pass. A little bit of accumulation, extra accumulation there next to your tire tracks in the middle, just because as you're driving, not only is your tire just trying to make contact, it's trying to throw some of that snow off to the side, so you actually accumulate a little bit more just outside of the path. So there's almost a kind of a small ridge in the middle of the interstate that you've got to come over if you want to switch lanes. So if you are heading out this evening, folks still sometimes have to head out, especially essential workers. You still got your plans that you've got to do. Just take your time, but just know that many times you're only going to have one side fairly open, and if you need to make lane changes, it could be tricky. But you're watching right now kind of a train of cars coming in from the north right now trying to fight some of that snow. We've picked up about 2 inches for many of us in the mountains right now. We were looking at that shot about here. Boston Mountains there towards Bobby Hopper Tunnel, pretty decent snow for us. This is a wider view across 5 country. So once again, live look in Springdale. Gets real slicker than snot as you try to make a stop there at the edge of an intersection or stop sign. About 1 lane open on each side of I-49 there in Springdale. Live look in Fort Smith. You're looking down Rogers Avenue. It's hard just to say that it's so cold that it makes those steam stacks on top of a lot of these buildings. It makes them a lot puffier and a lot wider. So try to look through some of these. So you're looking at Rogers Avenue, Doesn't look like we have much of an opening. Now you can see where some folks are trying to travel, but you get a little bit of your tire track into that, you're good. But not necessarily one complete open lane on each side. So definitely a little bit trickier there. Here in a moment, I want to show you what it looks like outside at the Bentonville Square. You can see the wind blowing those flags a little bit. It's cold. Oh, it's so cold. Temperatures are next to 0, so every single snowflake that is falling is sticking. And you don't really have anything open as you're going around the square right now. You can see where some folks have had their tire tracks, but then of course you can see spots where there has been a car and when there hasn't been a car. But look just where that car has left there, that open spot, and it's quickly accumulating now. Just slick, but folks are still headed out and about. You can get out there if you need to. Just make sure you give yourself extra time as you're trying to make turns and things like that. And of course, let the plows get to where they're needing to go so they can help everyone out. Just do your part. But we are looking at steady accumulating snow in Benton County. The whole square has been covered. Of course, the grass covered first, but the roads weren't too far behind because the roads are so cold after last night where we dropped to Bentonville. I believe it was about -2, -3. Officially, some folks at their houses could have been a little bit colder. There's one of the Bentonville police cruisers out there just taking the time just to slow down because that stopping distance has been reduced. And sometimes when you're trying to restart your vehicle and go after stopping, it can be a little slick there. So it just takes a second. Don't slam it. Just give it a little extra, little bit of gas at a time as you can. This live look outside on I-49. Is this coming in from Greenland and you're looking towards? Okay. Yep, so you're looking towards the University of Arkansas. You can't see it, of course, because the snow is just blowing sideways. We've got a blowing snow, which reduces your visibility, so it's tougher to see. These flakes aren't as big as some of our other snow systems we've had the past week or two, but you have so many of them out there right now. Clouds are pretty thick across 5 country. We've got a decent layer of snow making inside these clouds, but because of some colder temperatures, they're just a little bit smaller, and we've got some drier air, so they're a little bit smaller out there, but they definitely are filling the air. But because they're smaller and they're lighter because of the drier weather, they kind of blow more easily in the wind, a lot more sideways rather than just coming down. And so if you've been trying to measure, of course, if just going outside is kind of tough, we're going to be watching that. But this is a look at snowfall forecast. We're still fairly spot on for this. Generally 2-3 inches. There should still be a few folks in the mountains that could get to 4 inches. We'll see. But generally 2 to 3 is what you can expect. I want to show you what it looks like for the next couple of hours. So here by about 4 o'clock, we'll be wrapping up some of this snow. Still decent there in the river valley though, right around Fort Smith to Clarksville, Mulberry, Paris. But you get west, flurries. You're not going to see them pop up on Futurecast because the flakes will probably be pretty small. And then maybe even hard to see on the radar too because the flakes are so small. But you're going to be watching this good band slowly press eastbound throughout the evening. And it could be picking up over time south and east of Little Rock. We'll have to see. Probably your heaviest snowfall totals will be just east of Pine Bluff as you're trying to head from Little Rock back to Memphis there on I-40. That could have maybe some of the most accumulation. But generally across the state, we picked up a couple inches or so. By 9 o'clock, we may even see the clouds break just a little bit. So until then, watch out for some stray flurries. And then what we're going to watch tomorrow will be kind of a rejuvenation of this storm as the low pressure itself starts to finally strengthen. As that takes place, more snow could be possible in parts of southern and eastern Arkansas. We'll be close enough that where we get some extra snow flurries, it's hard to say if we'll get any more accumulation, but we could be seeing some snow flurries throughout the day, especially if you live south of Fort Smith and south of Clarksville, south of Poto. So let's say Scott County, around Waldron, Paris, and Boonville. We've got a good chance in Greenwood and Fort Chaffee, Hackett, and Hartford, Heavener, Tallahena, Worcester. We could get maybe a couple additional snow flurries out there, but the heavier snow tomorrow will be back off towards the east. And then we're just talking about the cold. Not too much more in terms of accumulation. Could you maybe get another quick dusting on top of your snow? Sure. And since we already have the snowpack, any additional snowflake would just instantly accumulate. So it's not as if any kind of dusting would just melt. So we'll watch out for that. But generally what you need to know, we've got about an hour or two left of some decent snow. And then here overnight tonight, we'll have a couple flurries here and there, couple flurries tomorrow morning, very cold tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, temperatures may only get to the teens and 20s. A little bit warmer than it is right now. A lot of us are still holding on to single digits across 5 country. But a couple more flurries were possible. But for that accumulating snow that we have right now, expect another hour to 2 hours of that, maybe an additional inch. And that'll put most of us in that 2 to 3 inch range across 5 country for the snowfall totals, with maybe up to a dusting tomorrow as more snow showers start to come in. After that, we should start to clear out. We'll have some sunshine later into this week. But right now, we're still on track for about 2 to 3 inches, maybe a little bit more in the mountains. Once again, a live look outside from the Holiday Inn cam, and you see that snow over 5 country. This is a live look outside of Mulberry. You can see the interstate there. You've got decently 1 lane. Now, when you're headed back from the east to the west, as that car is about to come right through and pass the camera with the headlights coming at us, it looks like the outside lane is mostly open. The inside lane may be trying to develop some more dry spots, but it's not a slushy snow. This is a very dusty, dry, sandy type of snow. And you can see the snow kind of swirling around the car once it passes the camera. So watch for, hopefully you get more open lanes as you're headed out this evening. Once some of this snow wraps up, we should start to get a couple more open lanes, but slick spots are still going to be a problem because it's just so cold outside. We're not going to really melt anything, but if we can just get more vehicles on the road over time, more of that snow will kind of not necessarily melt so much, but rather blow off because it's just so windy. Someone just needs to take a hairdryer and just blow it off, and that might do it, or a broom, because it's just so dusty out there. But once again, Fort Smith, we got another good band coming in. That little break that was over the south side is pretty much done, and it's kind of closed in around the north side of Fort Chaffee. About to pick up. This is the last good burst of snow coming into Fort Smith and Van Buren. Right now it's over Roland and Muldrow, crossing the state line. Brushy, we're getting some of that good snow too. Dora, Cedarville, Uniontown, and Natural Dam, good snow. But that burst is going to hit us in Fort Smith here in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Poto, it's about to pick up even more. There's a good burst on the western slopes of Kavanaugh. That'll be coming in for us. Mount Magazine, we're still staying steady. It looks like it's a little bit heavier right now over Boonville, and we'll pick up that little burst here very shortly as well. In northwest Arkansas, we're starting to lighten up. Some of the lightest is now in Benton County, where we only have a winter weather advisory. Still travel advisory, still calling for 2 or 3 inches. So forecast is still spot on. But overall, the roads, when you try to compare everyone and you try to make a slight distinction, Benton County may be slightly better, especially on the interstate. Some folks, as you were headed down, reported less of an opening there on I-49. And when we saw some of those cameras throughout the mountains, there's not too much of an opening. The snow has been a little bit heavier there in the mountains, but Benton County will start to wrap up some of the snow here shortly. Already starting to die out just a little bit in Salem Springs. Just a moment ago, it was pretty good, but looks like it's starting to get a little bit lighter. You see the back edge there towards 44. So if you were driving on 412 headed towards the state line coming into Salem Springs, coming in from Oklahoma, you kind of be driving with the edge of the snow as it comes through. But another maybe 30, 45 minutes across northwest Arkansas, at least for Benton County, Washington County, west of the interstate. If you live east of the interstate, maybe another hour of some of the snow showers, but they already are starting to lighten up. This is a live look outside in Salem Springs. Highway 412, looks like there's about 1 lane open, maybe only on one side as you're coming in from the casino. So you're looking back off towards Oklahoma. So if you're coming to the screen, you're headed into Arkansas going east. If you're going away from the screen, you go deeper in the screen, that's going westbound. And look at that wind too. I tell you what, the wind may be picking up a little bit over time. Even if the snow ends, we could still get some gusty winds, which may additionally blow around some of this snow. But it looks like in Salem Springs, you got about 1 inch, not completely covering the grass, but definitely more than a dusting, a solid inch there across western Benton County. You see folks trying to take both lanes there. You see 1 lane that's open. And a little bit easier to travel. Maybe you could go a little faster there in the open lane, but some folks still going on that more snow-covered lane. Looks like they're okay just going straight. But of course, once again, if you try to make a turn into a parking lot somewhere, maybe it's into your neighborhood, into your cul-de-sac, maybe it's just on your country road, that's where it could get a little bit slick. So take those, of course, just easily. Give yourself a little extra time. If you've got a commute that's going to take 30 minutes, make sure you give yourself 45 or 50 minutes just in case. And sometimes you hop on the interstate, you can kind of get in one of these trains where someone in the front is going a little bit slower and everyone's just kind of staying in that lane. And you're like, I don't know if I want to pass because it's a little snowier there on that side. So just give yourself extra time, whether or not there's an accident on your commute on where you've got to go, but traffic can just be a little bit slow. If you pull up your phone and you're trying to estimate how long it's going to take me to work. You'll see some of the yellows and reds. Not all of those are necessarily accidents, but just folks just going slower. In some cases, you get a quick burst of snow. It kind of covers the road a little bit more in that spot. Things like that just to look out for. But it looks like we're already starting to see the back edge come into Adair County. They're just west of Stillwell and Greasy, but still some light flurries on the north end of Lake Tenkiller to Tahlequah to Little Kansas and Oaks. So eventually we will be lightening things up. Heavy snow coming into Fort Smith. There's that last good burst. We're already starting to dry out there towards Vian. You get towards Vian, you head north to Lake Tenkiller. We're already starting to dry out. A couple flurries still possible, but the heavier, consistent snow is starting to die off. And Poto, Kavanaugh Hill, good snowfall for us and good snowfall pressing east right across the whole River Valley. So snowy afternoon for at least a couple more hours. If you got to go eastbound today, maybe you got to head to Little Rock or Conway, you're going to be in the snow for a while. They haven't had the snow as long as we have. But they've had it now for a while too. So if you've got to travel, watch out for that solid 1 to 3 inches across much of the central part of the state. And eventually, once we get another round tomorrow, especially for central and southern Arkansas, they could get another inch or two. That would up that total to 4 or 5 inches or so, just give or take. We've been really focused more on the accumulations for 5 country. We haven't spent all the time focusing on the rest of the state because we live here. But generally, a couple more inches could be possible farther south and east in our area. Maybe another 1/4 inch in northwest Arkansas coming our way as of now for the rest of the day. In the River Valley, depending on where you live, maybe another 1/2 inch to an inch, probably more of an inch farther eastbound, where we've still got another solid hour and a half of the snow coming into Clarksville and Paris and Booneville. Get around Fort Smith, Van Buren, we've only got another 45 minutes or so of the snow as it's coming in. This is a live look outside at 64, where it meets 540 there in Van Buren. Decent snowflakes falling out there. Haven't completely covered the grass. Of course, the grass is a little bit taller in this location. They tend to cut this grass just a little bit longer there in between the lanes of 540, but we've got one solid lane fairly open on each side. Decent snowflakes falling around. When you're looking off in the distance, that's where you hop off 540 and you head on to I-40. You can go east or west. Either you want to head to Oklahoma City or Little Rock. So we've got folks coming towards the screen or headed towards Fort Smith right now. Eventually we'll be going over the bridge. And bridges, of course, are the ones that you've got to watch with the additional slick spots. But to be honest, when we're talking about bridges, we usually say those are the first ones to freeze. But it's been so cold that the bridges and just the normal roads on the ground pretty much are just all frozen because it was so stinking cold last night with temperatures near or below 0 for most of 5 country. And we're still staying in those single digits for many of us. We got a couple in the teens, but a lot of us are in the single digits right now. So any snowflake that does fall will stick. So we'll have more updates throughout the rest of this evening and overnight tonight. Of course, we've got our newscast at 5:30. Most of the snow will be either out of here or right on the edge of 5 country, pressing out by about 5:30. But we'll talk a little bit more about how much snowfall we picked up. Your guys' reports are so helpful. If you can type, depending on the platform you're on right now, if it's a platform where you can type and comment, let us know how much snow you picked up. That'd be great. You can send us emails. You can also go on the 5 News app. You can send in reports there. We'll also take a look at some National Weather Service reports. So those are always very helpful. We'll put everything together, let you know how much snow has really picked up. And we'll have more updates coming in from reporters across the area and from Drive 5, letting you know, okay, snow's pretty much wrapped up now, but how are the roads doing? And how are the roads going to do for the rest of this evening? Am I going to have my work closed tomorrow? Different things like that. Of course, we can't answer those, but we can give you an idea on how the roads are going to shape up overnight and into tomorrow morning as you're trying to plan your Martin Luther King Day. Of course, a lot of schools are already closed because it's a holiday, but we'll be watching snow maybe for another hour or so, and then it'll be, real quick, I think we've got another incident to show you. We'll be able to bring that up here in just a moment. Our producer's coming in. So this is coming in from Interstate 49 in the mountains, so it's going to be hard to see, but you can see multiple, well, you see a lot of hazards too. It's hard to tell if there's an emergency vehicle there or not. Trying to clear out there a little bit, but you're looking, oh, mile marker 39. Okay, so this is before you get to the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. I think it's just a stalled vehicle. Okay, stalled vehicle, disabled vehicle. You're heading just north of Mountainburg, and you can see Lake Fort Smith there on the bottom of your screen. And you're looking to the north right now, so it looks like, did it say northbound lanes? I don't know if it said that or not, but okay, you're looking at the northbound lane. So if you are about to head northbound, from the river valley to northwest Arkansas, these are the situations that you could run into. And by the time you reach there, there could be additional problems. But of course, some of the vehicles, it looks like there's probably one emergency vehicle, but then a lot of hazards are out there too on some of these vehicles that are passing on the inside lane. Looks like the incident is more on the outside lane there towards the right edge of the road and the right edge of the screen. But the problem is we still got another hour or so of the snow in the mountains. So right now, as folks are going a little bit slower, of course they should be, that just allows the snow to try to accumulate a little bit more. The more traffic you get, the more tires you get, the more you blow the snow off the road, sometimes melt it a little bit. But this could cause additional problems. So if you get slowdowns near where you live, expect the roads to deteriorate even faster with some of the lighter traffic. That's one thing that we've seen over and over again, especially in the mountains. You get one accident and then the whole road becomes even more snow covered because all the cars are kind of stuck there waiting before they can try to head around. But watch out. Make sure you take it easy as you are headed out and about this evening. Give yourself a little extra time. You'll run into things like that. Temperature there at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, 0 for many of us, single digits for many of us. So every single snowflake coming down, it sure is sticking. Very dusty out there. We'll have more reports throughout the day. Once again, 5:30, we'll have our newscast. We'll give you more updates on how much snowfall we have picked up. We'll let you know what things are just doing across the area at that moment. Hopefully a little bit drier, hopefully a little bit less snowy out there. And we'll also talk about what we think things will take place on the roads and other things like that overnight tonight before tomorrow morning. And we'll have a little bit clearer picture on what kind of snow flurries that we could get tomorrow. Right now, it doesn't look like they should be too much of an issue, but any kind of additional snowflake causes issues just because they are not melting, because we are in this Arctic blast, and all the snow that is out there right now, it's going to stay out there for another 2 to 3 days. We may not really melt it even by the end of Wednesday. It might be Thursday by the time a lot of this is gone. So what is out there is going to be out there for a little bit. So if you want to take some pictures out in the snow, you don't need to do it right now because it's definitely going to be out there for a while. But watch out for the dangerous cold. If you are heading out, just make sure you have your little emergency kit in the car. Make sure you got an extra blanket, maybe even a couple extra layers. Just throw them in the back seat. If you don't need them, that's awesome. But the last thing you want to be is off the side of the road and you're waiting for emergency crews to get to you, because it can take a little bit longer for them to get to you. So make sure that you've got all those different necessities in your car before you are heading out. And you could just leave them in the car for the entire winter if you got the space. Might not be a bad idea, but make sure you keep it safe out there as you are headed out. Decent blast of snow, but it is slowly coming to an end over the next hour or two across 5 country. We'll have more reports throughout the day, and once again, live reports there at 5:30 from all across 5 country and from Drive 5. We'll get you a good picture of what's happening across 5 country and what's going to happen for the next several hours. Make sure you keep it here, keep it local. As always, we'll keep you advised.